Okay, that's being said, dear friends. Let's go through some news, and I will try to make this news update short. Let's see how it will work out. And first of all, let me start with this report, which is obviously a big deal. None of our members of our community, are going to be surprised, but nevertheless, it's official now that Krasnoarmeysk or Pokrovsk and Volchansk cities are liberated by Russian forces. This is official information that is coming from Russian leadership, military and political leadership. Yesterday, information was shared with the public that on 30th of November, by the way, Vladimir Putin visited a command post of a joint group of forces where he received reports on liberation of Krasnoarmeysk, that is Pokrovsk, and Volchansk. Presidential press secretary Dmitry Peskov reported about it, and yesterday quite a number of videos were shared with the public about visit of Russian president to this headquarters. Army General Valery Gerasimov reported to the Supreme Commander-in-Chief on the liberation of cities of Krasnoarmeysk, Pokrovsk in the DPR and Volchansk in the Kharkov region, as well as on the results of offensive operations by troops in other areas. He said, I can give you some more details from this report here. On top of that, Valery Salachuk, commander of the Center Group of Forces, reported to Putin on the progress of eliminating hostile forces encircled in the agglomeration area of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd. Mirnograd has a Russian name, Dimitrov, by the way, including establishing control over the southern part of Dimitrov, Mirnograd, and about situation in Krasnoarmeysk following its liberation. He added that destruction of enemy forces continues in Dimitrov, that is Mirnograd. Saladuk also reported that groups fighters continue their offensive in all directions. Gerasimov also reported that Zapad group of forces entered the Krasny Liman, or Liman, by the way, also Kharkov region. Fighting was ongoing in the eastern and eastern parts of the city. The villages of Zvanovka, Vasyukovka, and Petrovska has been also liberated. Dnipro fighters, Dnipro group of forces, are conducting an offensive in the Zaporozhye direction and have encircled the settlement of Stepnogorsk. I reported about it yesterday, dear friends, that there were some reports about some suggestions or reports, basically, that Stepnogorsk was encircled by Russian troops, and there are a significant number of Kiev regime's forces going to be in that cauldron now. Russian forces are also continuing to tighten their encirclement to eliminate their trapped Ukrainian forces on the left bank of the Stary Oskol River. The chief of the general staff reported the units and the military units of the joint group of forces will continue to conduct active offensive operations with the goal of completely liberating Donbass. Gerasimov also said. In turn, Vostok, commander of the Vostok group of forces, Andrei Ivanev, reported to the president on the start of operation to liberate Gulyai-Pole in Zaporozhye region. Units of the 5th Army are engaged in a street fighting in the northern eastern part of the city. You know, dear friends, I reported in previous days that as a result of chaotic retreat of Kiev regime's forces from the eastern side of Gulyai-Pole, Russian troops follow these Kiev regime's troops and entered the Gulyai-Pole itself with minimal resistance, and now clearing operation is taking place inside the Gulyai-Pole, and some military experts are predicting that Russian military is going to liberate Gulyai-Pole in significantly less time than, for example, liberation of Pokrovsk needed. He also reported that Vostok group of forces actively advancing in southern Dnipropetrovsk and eastern Zaporozhye regions, and the liberation of Dobropolye has been completed. The commander of the southern group of forces, Sergei Medvedev, reported that fighting is underway for the city of Seversk. The head of the state thanked the commanders and personnel of the groups for their successful actions. And basically, let me show you on the map, dear friends, now areas that we are talking about. Of course, many of you are familiar with the battle map, but nevertheless, let's go through some details here. Yet again, no reports about some major changes in Kherson direction, but when it comes to Zaporozhye sector, well, this is Stepnogorsk settlement, which is encircled by Russian forces, and I assume, significant number of Kiev regime's troops are basically trapped now in some central parts of this settlement. Major stronghold of Kiev regime on the most western flank of Zaporozhye sector. Russian troops also advancing, improving their positions literally on daily basis in Orekhov direction. But of course, focus of the media is on Gulay Pole, most eastern stronghold of Kiev regime in this sector. And well, as reports are suggesting, Russian troops are already inside the city. And yesterday I read one article according to which some 30% of Gulay Pole is under Russian control now. About 30%. Difficult to say. Obviously, I'm not there on the ground, but I'm quite sure liberation of Gulay Pole is not going to take too long. Maybe a week or two, and that's going to be it. Right. Also, we have reports about finalizing clearing operation in Dobrapolye settlement on the northern side of Gulay Pole, and this information was confirmed by Russian militaries. Of course, when it comes to Pokrovsk, Mirnograd agglomeration, this is Pokrovsk, by the way, under complete Russian control. And when it comes to Mirnograd, southern part of the city is under Russian control. And when it comes to main body of the town, northern part, Russian forces are advancing and taking time, by the way. There is no hurry, basically no need to rush the developments. Russian militaries will take whatever time is necessary. And also, I'm quite sure regularly Kiev regime's forces will receive an offer from Russian militaries to lay down arms and surrender. And once that will surrender, will of course make a best decision of their lives, because they're gonna be safe, right? They're not gonna die for a Western geopolitical agenda or geopolitical agenda of the Western ruling class and for this terrorist regime in Kiev that is supported by the West. Also, dear friends, interesting reports are coming in regards to Konstantinovka. According to articles that I read yesterday evening, this morning, about 25-30% of Konstantinovka is also under Russian control. Most eastern, southern eastern parts of the settlement city, basically, which is obviously significant. And yesterday, if you remember, I reported about very significant breakthrough of the Russian forces on the northern western side of Konstantinovka in area of Klinovo. And I think this is decisive operation that Russian militaries conducted successfully. Soon Konstantinovka gonna end up in operational or maybe even complete encirclement. Seems like that's the trajectory of the developments in Konstantinovka direction. And also Russian president was informed about the liberation of Volchansk city. This is not a surprise, of course, for none of you. I was reporting about significant progress of the Russian forces in this direction, but now it's officially confirmed that yes, Volchansk is liberated by Russian troops, and right now Russian offensive continues in the direction of Vilcha and Liman settlements. Both Russian militaries managed to establish their strong presence, according to reports, in both these villages on the southern western side of Volchansk itself. Initiative is, of course, in Russian hands all along the front line, and there is not even theoretical chance that either Kiev regime or their Western backers will manage to regain initiative anywhere or to turn the tide. Not happening. That's been said, dear friends. Let's continue with some other news. And RIA Novosti, for example, reporting that Russian armed forces neutralized Ukrainian mercenaries or mercenaries of the Kiev regime from Czech Republic and Poland in the Sumy region. So I guess both these republics soon gonna receive body bags, a lot of it, right? With their special forces, probably fighters. Russian military airstrike eliminated Czech and Polish mercenaries of their Kiev regime's forces in the Sumy region. Security officials told the RIA Novosti. As a result of a precision strike, a group of 40 mercenaries from 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Kiev regime's armed forces were destroyed. They are casualties among Czech and Polish mercenaries, agency source said. And yet again, I think this is not just ordinary mercenaries, some psychos, either from Czech Republic or from Poland, that decided that, well, they're going to go and die for Western geopolitical agenda. I think this is well-trained special forces of both these quasi-states, Czech Republic and Poland, right? And they've been eliminated. And when it comes to Czech Republic, I don't know how many militaries and intelligence community representatives they lost in this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. But when it comes to Poland, by the way, casualty numbers, according to some military experts, is over 10,000 on the Polish side. Over 10,000. And whenever there is a conversation about Polish losses in this proxy war, I always remember statements that was made by U.S. military expert, U.S. Military veteran, decorated military veteran, Colonel Douglas McGregor, who on several occasions, based on his sources, stated that Poland lost 10 to 12,000 military personnel, disguised as mercenaries, but nevertheless, it's their militaries, right?